AITA for making myself nice meals and not my husband. So, I'll preface by saying me and my husband have vastly different tastes in basically everything. For the most part it doesn't matter, but we clash heavily when it comes to food. Before we met, I basically never ate out, drank nothing but water and unsweet tea with the occasional juice and ate mostly vegetarian, always pretty healthy meals. When we started dating I started eating out a lot more because that's what he always wanted to do and I'm honestly easily influenced. I learned pretty quickly that he doesn't like anything that includes anything other than a variation of meat, cheese, and starch rice, bread, pasta, potatoes, not a single vegetable other than corn, no dairy except butter, no fruits, no grains, nothing. He also hates a majority of seasonings. I ended up adapting my cooking to suit his tastes, occasionally making myself healthy sides but it bothered him so I mostly stopped. I tried to at least have healthy lunches or choose healthier options when eating out, which was still regularly. Eventually we had a daughter, and now that she's getting old enough to eat with us, I'm pretty much done with how we eat. I don't like eating like this. I've gained weight and feel out of shape. My body feels awful, whatever. And I don't want our daughter to grow up not eating anything healthy and substantial. So I stopped agreeing to fast food and made him only get it for himself and started cooking nice meals again. Which he of course hates. I've begged him to at least try and find something remotely healthy he likes eating quite frankly. My food doesn't even taste healthy. Our friends and family rave about how delicious it is even when it has stuff they normally don't like in it. It really shouldn't be that hard. But he refuses. So I told him he can make his own meals if he doesn't like ours, that I'm tired of eating unhealthy all the time. He accepted it at first, but he's gradually been getting more upset about it. He says it's not fair that we have these nice meals and he's stuck eating crap. I told him he's free to join. And what he's making himself is literally the same things I'd make him anyways minus some fancier things. And that I'd be willing to still make some of the fancier ones just not so often. But he says it's not the same and he wants nice healthy meals like ours and it's not fair that he's being excluded. I told him unless he's willing to let me add spices and vegetables to the meals, I literally can't make him nice healthy meals like ours. There's only so many ways you can make a meal with just meat and starch, and you can only make it so healthy. Now he's been pouting because he says it's not fair he's the only one who doesn't get good food, and that I could at least try and include him and him being an asshole by not trying. I think he's being ridiculous to expect the same type of food we eat without me putting in literally any of the ingredients. AITA. Welcome to /r/AmItheAsshole. Please view our voting guide here, and remember to use only one judgment in your comment. Op has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I might be the asshole because it probably feels like I'm rubbing in the fact that we're all eating nice meals while he eats his simple ones. Help keep the sub engaging. Don't downvote assholes. Do upvote interesting posts. Click here for our rules and click here for our FAQ. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit if you have any questions or concerns. NTA. His real complaint is that he's being excluded, which I suspect is actually a combination of resentment at having to cook for himself and resentment that you are implicitly teaching your kid that the way he eats is bad. Like, look at what you wrote. He was only okay with things when you completely adopted his way of cooking. Even you making yourself healthy sides bothered him to the point where you stopped doing it. You've given him option after option after option in terms of compromises, but the only thing he actually wants is total capitulation to his preferences. You shouldn't feel bad about what you're doing, and certainly shouldn't give in to his pity party. I saw that too and was confused. Like you aren't even allowed a side of steamed broccoli because it offends him. That sounds controlling. Undefined. I think he hates me eating fancy stuff without him. Basically anything that's not plain, although apparently seeing me eat vegetables also grosses him out. Like for broccoli I usually bake it, then toss it with some lemon, parmesan, salt and pepper, or say, spiced carrots and parsnips, which are also baked after being tossed with olive oil, salt, pepper, cumin, allspice, paprika and chili powder. He sees it as fancy so it upsets him. So, you've got 2 children, is what I'm hearing. Like, he can't even see you eat vegetables. I don't care if he's the best lover on the planet. I truly wouldn't be able to sleep with someone who had such an infantile aversion. I know we're only hearing one example of his behavior, but this sub often makes me wonder why some people got married. Have you ever seen the show Snapped? That will really make you wonder. Like, how can you love someone so much that you commit to them for the rest of your kill them and dump them in a septic tank? I hate when I catch my wife watching Snapped. My husband asked me why I watched so much true crime on TV. I said to learn from others' mistakes. For some reason he didn't find it funny. I find it funny. You didn't give you or your husband's age, but I'm assuming from this that he's around 4 years old. In that case, it's okay for you to try to expand his palate, but kids are notoriously stubborn and picky eaters, and while that can be frustrating, you can't just let him go without a small child. He depends on you to feed him, and it is borderline abusive not to prepare meals for him that he will eat. Oh wait, what's that? This is a grown-ass man who is married and helped you produce another human being. Never mind then. As an adult human being, he is fully capable of at least trying one of the nice meals that you graciously cook for him. Just like you tried, for years, to accommodate his tastes in cooking his meals for him. Mind you, to your own detriment? And whether he wants to try your cooking or not, he is also fully capable of obtaining meals for himself that he likes, either by cooking or by going through the drive-thru. But this garbage, where he basically says I refuse to try the things you cook because I don't like them, so please cooking those things I don't like even though I don't know if I like them, in a way that I will like. Those BS. NTA. I just want you to know that I'm 9 months pregnant, and I laughed so hard at this comment I gave myself a contraction. Please take my poor woman's gold. Hold up, that's possible. At 9 months pregnant? Yeah, just about anything can give you a contraction. I'd get Braxton Hicks basically practice contractions. Nothing real or serious when I sneezed. Got up too quickly. Went over a speed bump. Even laughing really hard. What a ridiculous question. Do you really need to ask if making healthy meals for you and your young daughter is an asshole move? Obviously NTA. Your husband is acting like a petulant child. He can either eat healthy meals you make or he can eat his artery clogging unhealthy foods and watch you and your daughter eat nutritious meals and shut his mouth. As a dad, he should want his daughter to eat healthy meals. What is wrong with this guy? He resents having to cook for himself. He won't eat healthy food the way she makes it, so she'd have to make food his way. He'd be eating the same stuff he's eating now, he just wouldn't have to cook it. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Christ, what a baby. How did you last this long? Is the real question. NTA, but I can't give you advice because the problem is that he's a baby and needs to snap out of it, but won't be because, well, babies don't just snap out of it, so they. I have no clue honestly. I guess I just kind of settled for it and convinced myself eventually he'll see how good healthier foods can be. But sadly nope. Straight talk, you fell in love with what you thought he could be, tried to make him that person, and became disappointed when you inevitably failed. And now you both have the choice of whether to work hard to bridge an inherent incompatibility you knew existed from the start, call it quits, or spend the rest of your life frustrated. Unfortunately, given that you have a kid, door one is the best option, but a bunch of people telling you that you did nothing wrong isn't going to help with bridging squat. What else can she do? Give up vegetables to make him happy? Because that's clearly his only version that he is okay with. No, she can make this into a bigger deal on her end and set firmer boundaries. The fact that he's made her give up her own veg to make him happy doesn't make me optimistic, but sometimes you can get through to people by saying to people that their behavior is hurting you in the relationship, that it's making you rethink the relationship, and if they want to continue having you in their life, they need to cut it out immediately. Sometimes people do not grasp the severity of the situation until you make an even bigger deal out of it than they are already doing. NTA. A person's diet is by choice. If your husband feels excluded, then he needs to eat what you prepare in order to be included. Alternatively, he can learn how to cook fancy and serve himself if he doesn't like what's put on the table. Funny enough, it's not even really fancy stuff. It's stuff like shepherd's pie, pot pies, chicken parmesan, fried rice, stuff that's easy to make but requires more effort than throw on a tray and in the oven or heat up in microwave. Of course, without any veggies. Man up, when you said fancy I thought you were talking much fancier stuff. Question, you ever make say beef stew, can add veggies and they will stick out less? He won't eat it if he knows there's vegetables in it. He inspects dishes to make sure there's none. I'm flabbergasted that he survived to procreate. NTA, but I would seriously examine whether this is sustainable for you and your child. Because wow. NTA. I'm still hung up on the part where you wrote it bothered him that you ate healthy sides with the foods you cooked to his liking to the point where you stopped. I get not liking certain foods and it's nice if you can find a middle ground, but what's up with you not being allowed to eat vegetables because he doesn't like them? Just to add something constructive, maybe you can plate his simple food to look like fancy fine dining meals every once in a while. Placate him? Like French fries in a little basket or dots of balsamic vinegar around a steak, mashed potatoes squeezed through a piping bag kind of deal. I definitely plate the foods nicely, but there's only so fancy you can get with mac and cheese and sausage or plain rice/mashed potatoes and chicken. Actually, now that I think of it, funny enough, I plate them nicely enough that he sends pics to his friends/family to brag, but not enough to eat without complaining. I noticed you didn't address the part of the comment talking about when he made you stop eating your own healthy side dishes just because he doesn't like you eating them, so I just want to say that that's not normal behavior. I mean, all of it sounds like abnormal behavior, but that specific bit is your husband being extremely controlling, which isn't right. It's alarming, really. Makes me wonder in what other ways he's controlling. It takes a special immaturity to be mad because your partner is eating a side that you don't even want. Literally just said the same thing to someone else, ABT at being immature. Like it's just so bizarre to be angry ABT what your partner is eating just because you eat the same junk over and over or whatever, and you definitely don't get to control what they get to have. What does he mean by crap? Wasn't it his meal of choice all along? NTA. Added a word. NTA. Are you married to an 8-year-old? This is some next level infantile behavior. Send him back to mommy's house and tell her to teach him how adults eat. For Pete's sake. This would be comical if he wasn't an actual grown-ass man with a child. Now it's just sad. Does it matter? If he keeps up the diet, he'll probably end up dead sooner than later anyways. Not soon enough, if he were my so. Your husband's picky eating is not normal. If he wants fancy food, he can learn to cook it himself. NTA. I can't stand picky eaters who won't even try to address their picky eating. Had an ex like this. He literally told my parents he didn't like the food they cooked while he was staying with us for 2 weeks and forced me to take him out for fried chicken the next day so he wouldn't have leftovers. So glad we broke up. My God, that is so rude.